What is up, coaster people? Today I'm going to be starting a little series entitled For Better or For Worse. I'm going to be examining similar coasters and park scenarios that ended drastically different. For the inaugural episode, I'd like to begin with the strikingly similar but painfully different fates of Steel Phantom and Son of Beast. The year is 1991, and a small park in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania named Kennywood is looking to become relevant in a market saturated with small vintage parks and led by a rising giant in Hershey Park. Who did you call back then when you wanted a huge new crazy coaster? Aerodynamics, of course. Sure, other manufacturers were coming onto the scene like Intamin and B&M, but Air was fresh off a 2-year run that included Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Great Adventure, Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and a little coaster known as Magnum XL 200, the world's first hypercoaster. Surely they could combine the success of both models and put Kennywood on the map in bold, right? More on that later. But now let's move 9 years into the future. The year was 2000, and an ever-growing park in Mason, Ohio was looking to keep pace with northern giant Cedar Point. How would Paramount's Kings Island look to do this? By building two worlds first in one by contracting the Roller Coaster Corporation of America to build the world's first hyper wooden coaster and the world's first inverting wooden coaster in Son of Beast, a play on the past success of Beast. After many complications during construction, Son of Beast would open on May 26, 2000, just 13 days after Cedar Point's Millennium Force. Standing at 218 feet tall and featuring a 118-foot tall vertical loop, Paramount had looked to pull off the unimaginable. Or so they thought. Remember Kennywood, the park discussed earlier? Well, in 1991, at 160 feet tall with 4 inversions and a drop of 225 feet, Steel Phantom was born. Arrow had done the unthinkable and created the world's first looping hypercoaster. Or so they thought. Before we go forward, let's summarize the case's similarities so far. We have two parks trying to keep pace in a loaded market, both by building one-of-a-kind inverting hypercoasters. Both parties were and would continue to be the second choices in their respective states, even after both making their largest expansions in park history. Now that we know how both these coasters came to be, let's discuss their fates. Both coasters would only operate 9 years due to extremely rough and unbearable ride experiences, even though both were altered during its lifespan in an effort to save the ride. Steel Phantom had a set of trims added after its 1991 debut, but would still close in 2000 due to constant complaints from parkgoers about head and neck pain. Son of Beast would have its vertical loop removed in 2006 to accommodate lighter trains and avoid future issues from reoccurring, but after a major 2009 accident, it would close for good. Pretty crazy how similar these stories are so far, huh? Well, here's where the paths diverge, and we find the series title For Better or For Worse. Starting with the best case scenario, we have Kennywood, who rather than cutting their losses and dismantling their $4.6 million investment after only 9 years, decided to call up the now defunct D.H. Morgan, who would come in and completely revamp Steel Phantom by removing all 4 inversions, reprofiling the track, extending the drop and overall track length, and changing the restraints from the menacing headbanging over the shoulders to very comfortable lap bars. In 2001, Steel Phantom was officially reborn and opened to the public as Phantom's Revenge. To this day, Phantom's Revenge still operates as a top 10 steel coaster, thrilling riders by ripping them down 200 feet worth of mountainous terrain, providing one of the best night rides out there. Now we look to a polar opposite outcome. In 2012, the now Cedar Fair-owned Kings Island decided to officially dismantle the $20.5 million investment after nothing but headaches and lawsuits. In 2014, Kings Island would open Banshee, the world's longest inverted coaster at a whopping price tag of $25 million. Paramount's Kings Island / Cedar Fair had finally finished the same scale attraction as Kennywood's Phantom after over $50 million was invested between Son of Beast, retracks and refurbs, and the addition of Banshee. Meanwhile, Kennywood had salvaged their initial investment and gotten away with a price tag of under $10 million for arguably a better, more acclaimed attraction. In summary, Kennywood was able to make a name for themselves after investing under $10 million into this one area over 30 years. Meanwhile, two theme park giants together invested over $50 million over 20 years for arguably an inferior attraction. If only RMC's iBox refurbs had been more tried and tested, we may have seen Kings Island pull a Kennywood and salvage Son of Beast with a complete overhaul and rebirth. But alas, this is not the case. And thus concludes our first installment of For Better or For Worse. Let me know what your thoughts are on this video and series in general below, and make sure to subscribe to follow along with this series and much, much more. And until next time, ride on.